Okay, hello. My name is Joe Mellin again. What I'm hoping that you all take away from today is when you start on new projects in the future, you use some of these tools to make yourself more effective at doing that. So that is the title. So the things I want to tell you or offer you from my learnings in the past is about first testing the value of what you're about to create. A lot of times people get excited about what they're going to create and they think it's a great idea and they rarely test it before starting. And so I just want to show you some quick examples of how I've done that in the past and the impact of that. So the first, one of the things that I was looking at was saying, okay, I want to make a mobile app that gives people the experience of being a video commenter on other pieces of media, so that they can like be that person on TV that's on SportsCenter that's commenting on like Shaq's latest dunk. And so I was like, okay, great. I want to try this out. I'm going to make something that's called, what was it called? Talk Street, and basically like being the news anchor. So the way I did that is I just put up a landing page and I said sign up for this, and I shared it with a bunch of friends, and crickets. Nobody wanted to do that. And so that was interesting. I learned from that. Then I was talking with a friend of mine, and I was like, okay, what's the problem that you do have? And he was like, man, I just really hate taking out the trash. So I made a website that was just like a single-page Ruby app, and I said, this is the value proposition, never take out the trash again. Basically, it was a service that would take your trash cans to the curb on trash day. So just very simple. This is all just kind of laying out the value proposition, some pricing information, where we're launching, and then that's attached to a type form, so people could sign up and enter their names and things like that. So basically, the exact same technology as the previous one. It just has a different value proposition. And then I kind of put it out there in the neighborhood a little bit. I put a couple of things on some trash cans, and I posted some things on Nextdoor. And basically 3 days later, we had like 4 media outlets covering us. They didn't know whether it was a real startup or not. Some people were saying that it was such a waste of venture capital, which was hilarious because it was literally like 2 hours of my own work. And if you notice back here, there's a phone number at the top, which just goes to a Google Voice that I just put on my own phone number. So all of a sudden, so now we have all these different media outlets. We have about 3,000 visits and 390 signups, and that's in like a day and a half. Now, what's really interesting about that is at first I was like, okay, well, maybe this is just a lot of people being like, oh, this is a joke, whatever, I'm going to sign up. And there definitely were those people. These are some of my signups. But then there's also these people who are real people, who are real. I mean, I obscure their names because it's actually their addresses and phone numbers. And I started calling them. And they actually were a lot of things like single moms that just didn't want to deal with taking out the trash, which is, really interesting. And so if you see here are like, what is this, 18 or 15 different type forms that I've done over time of like different ideas that I've had. And if you see down at the bottom, most of these have like, 5 responses, 10 responses, something like that. And, trash day goes together for 400. So a lot of times when people prototype things, they think that they're like, oh, I'm going to share this with my friends and this is going to be a good idea or whatnot. And then one of their friends says like, oh yeah, maybe I'd use it if you build it. That's a sign of a not good idea. And so like what I'm sharing with you in this is that it is possible to put things on a landing page that people actually want, and they actually want in surprising numbers. Does that make sense? So, okay, so next thing is I want to show you a little bit about like once you have something that people actually want. You can also work with this with people that you're consulting with if you're doing consulting, or just actually validating that with their users that they should be building this. Is just to like start in the beginning of actually like prototyping in a way where you can learn really quickly. And so I normally have a goal of like, okay, what's a prototype I can make in about 10 minutes? And so like this is something that we have at our App Center booth, which are little like sticky pads where you can just kind of quickly draw out an app. And as you can see, like I have great, I can barely spell the word done, but you can kind of get the sense of how an app would work. And, okay, so now I'm actually going through the app, and now I can actually start getting this out in front of people, as opposed to like, if I'm trying to build, something first. So this is the rough prototype. And then what you can do with that is you can start iterating. And the way you iterate is by showing it to people, which is, this is an example of this. This is actually one of our awesome colleagues on the Crashes team for App Center who is trying out my amazing app. So I'm here telling him, saying, basically pretend this is a real app. You're gonna click on it, and also make sure that when you're talking, when you're looking at something, you are, if you're confused, you say something. So kind of live stream what's in your head. And so he's talking about it, and you can see here he's starting to sign up, and he's like, okay. And right now he's wanting to okay, how do I play this thing? And then he's looking at scrolling, and you can start seeing here, he starts asking me questions like, okay, what do I click on the Joe thing? Is that take me to their profile? He goes in here and he's like, okay, I'm kind of confused about what these actual videos are. How do I preview them? So maybe I would want to actually build a preview functionality for these things, or a better tutorial in terms of actually teaching them how to use the different things. And then I say, okay, I'm talking him through, and he picked the one on the cat, but I said it's actually the cup one. And then now he's recording. And then what was interesting here is my whole growth strategy with this was that they'd want to post it to Facebook, kind of like how Instagram grew. But he's here and he's clicking cancel. He does not want to post this to Facebook. So that's a great thing. That gets right to the point of the growth hypothesis is, will they post it to Facebook? If not, why not? And so I can start having those key conversations about my product way earlier. And this goes past that actually into, this is an example of prototyping, okay, if I am going to be posting these things to Facebook, how do I want to prototype these things, or how do I want to post these things? What do they look like? And so this is a prototype of three different ways on how this could be posted, what format, what size, where's the caption, what's the shadow around the caption, and this is all done in iMovie. So super easy, but if I was trying to do this first with actually programming it in Xcode, it would take much longer. So that is my talk. I hope you can kind of learn or take some things away from this. Please visit the App Center booth if you want our fun sticky notes of iPhones. Please take one. So thank you.
We do have a couple minutes for questions if anybody has any. You answered everything right up front. Nice. Oh. Keep the camera going.
Circus was taking out the trash. Was it you? Were you the one who was taking out the trash, or do you have someone else who was taking out the trash?
I took out the trash at the beginning.
Okay.
And it was pretty interesting. At first I was like, oh, I wonder if people are going to be weird about giving me their keys. I guess I should talk into this thing. Yeah, at the beginning, yes, it was definitely me. And it's actually pretty easy. And they really liked it. And it took about 5 minutes a house. So, yeah, that was it. Yeah, sure.
Do you find that using pen and paper, do you find that there's limitations in terms of when you have multiple paths through an interface? How do you think about okay, I'm gonna start this on pen and paper. How do I organize? Or do you find that other tools benefits and sacrifices of low tech?
Yeah. Well, kind of the best way of doing it is just saying pause to the user and then resetting up. So it's basically you have multiple of the paper ones built out, multiple of the paths. And then you can just say okay, pause, and then you just move to a different stack. I mean, it's at some point you do want to move past it, but it's surprising how far you can take it. So I would say you'll know when everybody's just great, I got it, and they're completely good and go through it without any help. Then I would say start. Last question? No.
Yeah, one more? No more? Okay.
Thank you.